Hi again! In the previous episode, we created collectible pickups. In this episode, we will create a score calculation system. Let's start by creating a UI text element. Switch to Game View and create a new UI text. Rename it as Score Text. Then click on the big square on Rect Transform component and choose the top left corner while holding down Shift and Alt. Next, change the width to 300, height to 80 and position on X to 40. After that, write score on the text field and change the font size to 40. And finally, adjust the vertical alignment to middle and change the font color to white. Select the UI and apply the changes to the prefab. Then it's time to start coding. Open the UI controller script. We need to create two variables, one for this text and other for the score value. Write public static int score and under it public text score text. When a variable is defined as static, it can be accessed from other scripts by writing script name .variable name. So we don't need to store the script itself in a variable. What it also does is that this score variable is shared by all instances of the class. I will give you an example. If there would be two UI controller scripts in the scene, they would still have common score variable and share its value. If the score variable wasn't set as static, those two scripts would have their own independent score variables, and changing the value of the other one wouldn't affect the other. We want that in our game there is only one variable which tracks the player's score. Another benefit of a static variable in our case is that it retains its value even when the scene is changed, so it's ideal for storing the player's score. Let's move on then. In update function, we need to keep updating the UI text on the score value. But we have a problem. Score is of type int, whereas text is of type string. We can't just directly add them together. Luckily, there is a toString function that can convert the int to string. Write score text equals to score and colon in double quotes, plus score to string, parenthesis, and semicolon. Remember to leave one push of spacebar after the colon so that the score value won't be too close to it. Then we need to reset the score when player dies. Write score equals to 0 inside of restart and main menu statements. Okay, now the UI is dealt with. Next, it's time to increase the score when player picks up the pickups. Switch to Pickup Handler script. Here we will create a variable that stores the amount of points the player gets for picking up this particular pickup. Write public int points. We will set the value later in the inspector. Next, we will jump to the player script. Locate the case for pickup. There, above the destroy function, we will increase the score. Now we will refer to the static score variable from the UI controller script and increase its value with the points variable. Write UI controller .score plus equals to other .gameObject .getComponent pickup handler .points. We could also reward the player with points when he defeats the snail. Save the script and jump to the enemy snail script. We will do the same as we did for the pickup. Write public int points. Instead of increasing the points in player script, we will do it here inside of onCollisionEnter, where we have the code for defeating the snail. Above is_stat, write UIController.score plus equals to points. This should be done. Save the script and return to Unity. Select the UICame object and drag the score text to the correct variable slot. Then apply the changes to the prefab. Final thing before testing is to give the pickups and enemy some values. Let's start with pickups first. Select one of them and give it a value of your choice. I will choose 5. Then apply the changes to the prefab. Next, select another pickup. Change its sprite to pickups_1. Give it a bigger value, for example 35. This time, don't apply the changes, because it would change all of the pickups. Rename this pickup as Pickup Acorn and drag it to the prefabs folder. If you have an older version of Unity, that's all you need to do. But if you have a newer version, Unity asks whether you want to create an original prefab or a variant. Choose Variant. This uses the same base but can be modified, and it retains differences to the original prefab. Just make sure that you don't apply the changes you do to the variant to the base prefab. Then select yet another pickup. Change its sprite to pickups_2. Give it a value between the two existing pickups, for example 15. Then rename it as Pickup Cone and drag it to the prefabs folder. Choose Variant this time as well. We won't touch the water drop yet, as it will be a power-up. We will deal with it later. Finally, select the snail and give it a value as well. I will set the value to 50. When you're done, apply the changes to the prefab. Alright, now we can test the score calculation. Awesome, it works as it should. Let's add some pickups to the earlier levels as well, so that we can test that the score value is not lost between scenes. When you're done, open the level 1 and enter play mode. Great! It works! Also, score gets reset when the player dies. Great work! Now we have a working score calculation. In the next episode, we will create a function that adds some bonus to the score at the end of the level or when game is over, according to the amount of pickups the player has collected. Remember to save the scene. See you again.